This body transformation that Bryce Young has went through these past couple of months, it's hard to believe, and it's almost to the point, looking at these pictures here, it looks unreal. Seeing some of these newer pictures, nah, you can tell he's getting that grown man strength, and you know what I'm talking about. Let me ask you a question. Who was the worst team in all the NFL? I think even the casuals know the answer to that. It's the Carolina Panthers. To say the Panthers last year sucked, it might be understating it. They were bad. It was really hard to watch. What's really weird about it too is normally when teams suck, we talk about them a lot in the offseason because why? They have the number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, or essentially a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. However, the Panthers didn't. Like I said, they sucked last year. They was easily the worst team in all of the NFL, but they had nothing to show for it. Why didn't they have anything to show for it, you may ask? It's because to get Bryce Young, they had to give up their rights to the current pick this year, and that was no other than Caleb Williams. I think a lot of people forgot about that. That number 1 overall pick, that was supposed to be the Carolina Panthers, but they traded it away. I'm going to remind some of y'all, give you a quick refresher. The Panthers went all in last year's draft so they could get Bryce Young. I don't want to sit up here and say they put all their eggs in one basket, but they kind of did. You really got the sense and vibes that they wanted that number 1 pick so they could get their favorite quarterback in the draft. As we all know, they wound up narrowing it down to 2 guys, and it was close, either CJ Stroud or Bryce Young. And I remember talking about it just like it was yesterday. Apparently, I believe it was the GM. He wanted CJ Stroud over Young. Can't fault him for that whatsoever. When I was evaluating Young and Stroud coming out of college, I had him 1A, 1B myself. I really didn't believe you could go wrong with either one of those guys. Great, outstanding young men and also great quarterbacks. With that being said, long story short, they decided to take Bryce Young, the quarterback out of Alabama. Right after him, this is where the Texans, they picked CJ Stroud. And it was funny because I'm sure some of you also are going to remember everybody and their mama thought that Bryce Young was going to the better situation and CJ Stroud was going to the horrendous one. Because at the time, the Texans organization, it was all over the place. It was a crap show. But it seemed like the Panthers, they were kind of steering the ship in the right direction, I guess we shall say. Next thing you know, you look up, CJ Stroud's dang near an MVP candidate. Not just a Rookie of the Year candidate, but an MVP candidate. And Bryce Young, he's fighting for his life. Of course, hindsight's 20/20, but man, oh man. What happened in this most recent season in the NFL with the Texans and Panthers, I don't think many people saw that coming. I myself, I believe I had the Panthers going something like 7-10, potentially 8-9, but dang, they didn't even come close to that. But wait a minute, hold on. I know what you're sitting here saying. Matt, why are we talking about this? What's going on? Well, let me ask you another question. What was the one knock on Bryce Young heading into the NFL? Nobody knocked his IQ, nobody knocked his talent, nobody knocked his ability to read and process defenses at a high level, nobody knocked his arm strength, his arm accuracy, any of that, but everybody knocked his size. Not only is he extremely undersized, people were extremely worried with his body frame. I wouldn't say he was frail last year for the Panthers like he was this really skinny dude, but here's one thing for sure. He wasn't buff. It's no hidden secret. I think he'd even tell you this. He needed to put on some weight. This right here, what you're currently looking at, ladies and gentlemen, this is a picture of Bryce Young in the offseason of last year. Fast forward time to this offseason, here's a new picture of Bryce Young. Yeah, you see it. Don't act like you don't see it. My man has put on some serious muscle. I'm sure he's put on a little fat as well, but that's not going to hurt him, especially at the quarterback position. He needs that. Obviously, I'm joking when I say this, but this man looks like he's on the juice. You can tell. You don't got to be a rocket scientist to figure out that his dietitian, nutritionist, whoever he's working with, it's working. This body transformation that Bryce Young has went through these past couple of months, it's hard to believe, and it's almost to the point, looking at these pictures here, it looks unreal. He looks like a real serious and legit grown man. Not to say that he wasn't a grown man last year, but he kind of looked like a kid out there. Seeing some of these newer pictures, nah, you can tell he's getting that grown man strength, and you know what I'm talking about. I'm not the one to typically overreact to pictures too much, but I don't even think I'm gassing this up. Look at this comparison I just randomly saw on Twitter. This is in 2023 versus 2024. A main reason I decided to make this video is just due to the fact we've been making videos on Bryce Young since he was coming out of high school, and the one thing people have continued to say about him is he's a small quarterback. And I give you that. There's no argument there. It's really a cold, hard fact. He's undersized compared to other quarterbacks and players in the NFL. But one thing's for sure, after seeing some of these pictures come out, he's definitely added some meat to his bones. This guy's putting on not just more muscle, but more weight, and that's going to help him get prepared for this season. It's also going to help him when he gets hit a lot. Because last year, when I was watching some of those games, it's going to sound like I'm a mom babying him, but I was hoping and praying the Panthers would take him out because he was getting hit relentlessly, play after play after play, and the Panthers were down by 30, so there was no point. Seeing Young get hit last year the way he was when he was only at, what was he, 5'9", roughly 5'10", 180 pounds, it had me really squinting my face or squinting my eyes every single time. All in all, though, let me know your thoughts on this picture down below. Before we end out this video, let's talk about him a little bit. Bryce on the Panthers, what should we expect? I know the season's a couple months out, but if you gotta ask me, Bryce is in a weird position. Year number one as a quarterback playing for one of the worst teams in the league, nobody's going to be judgmental at all, and everybody's going to give you the benefit of the doubt. However, it's no longer year one, it's year two. And although most people expect the Panthers to be yet again not so good, I do think there is going to be some added pressure to Bryce. Whether it should be this way or not, that's up for debate, but quarterbacks, more times than not, when teams are losing, they're going to get blamed for that. What's really unfortunate about it is Bryce Young, we saw it last year at times. You give him some time to throw, give him a couple weapons, yeah, he looks like a really good quarterback in the NFL. I just don't know if that's going to happen in this up-and-coming season. Can the Panthers protect him? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Here's the last thing I'm going to say before we end out this video, and let me know your thoughts on this down below because I'm extremely curious. If the Panthers' offensive line and wide receiver core and all the weapons surrounding Bryce Young look the way they did last year or close to it, I don't think we should be talking about, oh yeah, Bryce Young, you know, he should be winning games this year too. No, that should not be the conversation. In my humble opinion, if his offensive line can't protect him and he doesn't have time to be a quarterback, then that's not on the quarterback. It's not his fault. You talk to anybody that has watched Bryce Young play, they'll tell you straight up every single time, yeah, this kid, he's the real deal. I think a good example here is the Justin Fields thing in Chicago. Yeah, you can make the argument and say that the Bears, they didn't surround Fields with the greatest weapons and they didn't put him in the greatest position to succeed. And if that's your argument, okay, but here's the rebuttal. There was always question marks about Fields' ability to read and process defenses at a high level and perform in the NFL. But with Bryce Young, there's not any of those conversations. There's zero doubt in my mind, and I also believe there's zero doubt in anybody else's mind, that Bryce Young is an NFL caliber quarterback, and he has the potential to be, I think we can all agree on this, a top 10 quarterback in the league. That's not crazy or ridiculous to say, and I also believe his potential, it's sky high. Is he undersized? Heck to the yeah. We've already said that 1,000 times in this video. But outside of that, he is everything you want in an NFL quarterback. I'm excited for next year. We're also getting to the point in the offseason. I normally try to do this around June or July where we start talking about these rookie quarterbacks and how they're faring out in the training camps and stuff like that. So stay tuned. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. That's not the focal point of this video. We'll talk more about the Panthers and what I expect out of Bryce Young this up-and-coming season. Let me know your thoughts down below. But Roman